But first, earlier this morning as I listened to the radio, as I do every day to get a sense of what real people have to say, I heard the heartbreaking story of Sarah. A Brisbane girl born and bred, a graduate nurse, she had just relocated to Canberra in February to take up a new job as the manager of a fast food store. Her dad, diagnosed with terminal cancer, means that in these COVID times, Sarah needed an exemption to get home to see him and say goodbye. Really heartbreaking stuff. So she applied the right way. She waited the 23 days for the exemption, but it didn't come through in time. Her dad sadly passes away. By now, Sarah's in hotel quarantine by herself, mere kilometres away from her home, but due to bureaucratic bloody-mindedness, not allowed to grieve with her mum or her little sister, Isabel. Listening to her story this morning on radio, I'm not too proud to say I was in tears and so bloody angry. I lost my dad in very similar circumstances, about her age. I missed him by minutes to say goodbye. Now for me, at least I had the memories of his funeral to hold on to, the love that day, my mum, my sisters, my brother. You never get that day again. And it helps you cope with tough days like Sunday, which was Father's Day. Now Father's Day, 25, 26 years on, it's still really hard for me. Harder still for someone like Sarah, locked up in a hotel, having only just lost her dad. Like so many of you today, I wanted to help Sarah. So I reached out to the Prime Minister. I never use his number lightly, but I asked him to listen to Sarah's story. Make your own judgment, I said, but please just listen to it. Within a minute, he was back. I knew he knew. Going public would only make someone like Annastacia Palaszczuk dig in. So neither of us said anything. He called the Premier privately and pleaded for compassion.
And sadly, she wasn't able to see her father before he passed. She tried to get up there, but the process to get an exemption to travel took 20 days, I understand. And so she missed that opportunity, and this is her last opportunity to say farewell to her dad. Now, all of us who've been through that process know how important a day like today is. It's still fresh. And look, this isn't about the Premier of Queensland and me or anyone else. And it's just about that. Surely, in the midst of all of this heartache in COVID and everything that everyone's going through, surely just this once, this can be done. It can be done. There's been no COVID cases in the ACT for more than 60 days.
But rather than be moved by Sarah's heartbreaking plight, this was the Premier's response.
I will not be bullied, nor will I be intimidated.
Order.
By the Prime Minister of this country, who contacted me this morning and who I made very clear to the fact
Everton will put his comments through the chair.
Decision.
Well, not long after that bully slur, Sarah was granted permission to see her father in his coffin, but only after the funeral, and only with police officers guarding her. No contact was allowed with her mum or her little sister, no hugs, nothing. And then back into hotel quarantine, in a room on her own on a shattering day like this. It's gutless, it's low. Throwing around the bullying word as some sort of gender shield, as if the Premier was the one being bullied here. Sarah's not a rich yachtie. You know, she's not an AFL footballer or a Hollywood movie star. But according to Queensland's Chief Health Officer, Jeanette, that might have actually helped her case.
I've given exemptions for people in entertainment and film because that's bringing a lot of money into this state. And can I say, we need every single dollar. And if it's safe, then I look at how it can be done. And whether that's the AFL, the NRL, whether it's swimming, tennis, all of the sports, cricket.
She has a tin ear. They all get the red carpet from the Premier, special rules, special quarantine, because this Queensland Premier will do anything, say anything, do whatever deal is necessary to hold on to power. I remind my viewers here that Canberra, where Sarah has lived for only a couple of months, hasn't had a single case of community transmission for over 60 days. Sarah's Brisbane born and bred. Sarah is the one being bullied here. Today's Are You OK Day. Now, if these slogans and special days are to mean anything, words from leaders must be backed up with action. Politicians have discretion because blanket rules are often necessary, but they're rarely perfect. So always the elected official must have discretion to override the unelected bureaucrat. But not here. Premier Palaszczuk hides behind her health department and reinforces the brutality of today's decision. There's a saying, rules are for the obedience of fools and the guidance of wise men and women. Premier, this cruelty to one of your own, mark my words, it's cutting through with Queenslanders like nothing else. You think this makes you look tough. They'll see you as unworthy of them, as they should, as we all should. We shouldn't say we're fighting to save human lives in this pandemic if we lose our humanity in the process. Shame on you, Annastacia Palaszczuk.